The war in Ukraine continues to cast a long shadow across the globe, well into 2025. This conflict, initiated by Russia's full-scale invasion, has not only resulted in immense human suffering and widespread destruction within Ukraine, but has also reshaped geopolitical landscapes far beyond Eastern Europe. Nations worldwide are grappling with the economic fallout, including energy price volatility and disruptions to global food supplies. The security architecture of Europe has been fundamentally altered, prompting many countries to reassess their defense postures and alliances. The sheer scale of displacement, with millions of Ukrainians forced to flee their homes, presents an ongoing humanitarian crisis that demands sustained international attention and resources. The global impact extends to international law and diplomacy. The conflict has tested the efficacy of international institutions and the resolve of the global community to uphold principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Debates surrounding accountability for alleged war crimes continue, underscoring the profound moral and ethical questions raised by the hostilities. As the fighting persists, the world watches, concerned about the potential for further escalation and the long-term consequences for international stability. The war serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating cost of armed conflict in the 21st century, a reality that touches lives far from the front lines. Diplomatic efforts, though fraught with challenges, are constantly being explored. The involvement of various international actors, each with their own interests and perspectives, adds layers of complexity to the search for a peaceful resolution. The human cost remains paramount, with daily reports of casualties and civilian hardship painting a grim picture. International aid organizations are stretched to their limits, providing essential support to those affected by the violence. The resilience of the Ukrainian people in the face of such adversity has drawn admiration globally, yet the need for a sustainable peace becomes more urgent with each passing day, as today, May 21, 2025, marks another day of this devastating war. The conflict's reverberations are felt in global trade, energy markets, and food security, affecting households and economies across continents. Many countries have had to navigate complex diplomatic waters, balancing their relationships with both Russia and the West. The war has also accelerated discussions about energy independence and the transition to renewable resources in many parts of the world. Furthermore, the information landscape has become a battleground itself, with propaganda and disinformation campaigns playing a significant role in shaping public perception. Understanding the multifaceted global impact of this war is crucial for policymakers and citizens alike as they consider the path forward. In a significant development, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin engaged in a direct phone call on May 19, 2025. This conversation, confirmed by sources like Al Jazeera and the Institute for the Study of War, culminated in an agreement to initiate immediate bilateral negotiations. The stated goal of these talks is to work towards a ceasefire and ultimately, a comprehensive peace accord. This direct engagement between Washington and Moscow marks a notable shift in diplomatic approaches to the conflict, signaling a potential, albeit uncertain, pathway to de-escalation after years of intense fighting and strained relations between the two global powers. President Putin, according to reports, expressed Russia's readiness to engage constructively in developing a peace accord. However, he emphasized the necessity of addressing what the Kremlin terms the root causes of the crisis. These causes, from Moscow's perspective, critically include Ukraine's potential membership in NATO, an issue that has long been a point of contention. Furthermore, Putin's conditions are understood to involve discussions around the replacement of the current Ukrainian government with one more amenable to Russian interests, a proposition that Ukraine and its allies vehemently oppose. The Kremlin later clarified that no specific timeline for a ceasefire was established during the call, though President Trump reportedly showed keen interest in achieving quick agreements. Adding another dimension to these burgeoning discussions, President Putin proposed a 9-for-9 prisoner exchange between the United States and Russia. This suggestion, noted by the Institute for the Study of War, indicates a potential area for immediate, tangible progress, separate from the more complex peace negotiations. Prisoner exchanges have occurred sporadically throughout the conflict, often involving intricate negotiations, and such a move could build a sliver of goodwill. However, the focus remains intensely on the broader implications of the ceasefire talks and whether they can genuinely pave the way for a more lasting peace in the war-torn region of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has voiced skepticism regarding Russia's sincerity in these peace overtures. He suggested that Russia might be attempting to buy time to regroup and rearm its forces, rather than genuinely seeking an end to the conflict. Despite this caution, President Zelensky reaffirmed Ukraine's unwavering readiness for an unconditional ceasefire. He also stressed the critical importance of continued US and European involvement in any negotiation process to ensure Ukraine's interests are protected. Zelensky also mentioned ongoing separate discussions regarding a potentially major prisoner exchange involving Ukrainian and Russian captives, adding another layer to the complex diplomatic dance. President Donald Trump, following his crucial phone call with President Putin, has been vocal about his desire to broker a peace deal. He has emphasized the need for a swift resolution to the conflict, suggesting that prolonged warfare only leads to further devastation and instability. While details of his specific framework for peace remain somewhat guarded, his direct engagement with Putin signifies a hands-on approach to the crisis. Trump has also indicated a reluctance to impose further sanctions on Russia at this juncture, expressing a belief that such measures might complicate or even derail the delicate negotiation process, a stance that has drawn mixed reactions internationally. President Vladimir Putin, while agreeing to talks, has laid out a firm set of conditions. He continues to insist on Ukraine's neutrality and demilitarization, alongside the recognition of Russian territorial claims. His statements underscore Moscow's strategic objectives, which include preventing Ukraine's integration into Western alliances like NATO and securing a buffer zone. Putin's rhetoric often frames the conflict as a response to perceived threats from the West and a necessary measure to protect Russia's security interests. He has reiterated that Russia is open to dialogue but will not compromise on what it considers its fundamental concerns, setting a challenging stage for any upcoming negotiations. President Volodymyr Zelensky remains steadfast in his defense of Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity. While acknowledging the need for dialogue and welcoming U.S. involvement, he has consistently stated that Ukraine will not cede territory or compromise its independence for peace. Zelensky has expressed deep reservations about Russia's true intentions, fearing that any talks could be a stalling tactic. He continues to call for robust international support, including military aid and stronger sanctions, to bolster Ukraine's position. His administration has also been actively exploring various venues for broader peace talks, suggesting locations like Turkey, the Vatican, or Switzerland, highlighting a desire for a multilateral approach. The differing stances of these key leaders illustrate the profound challenges that lie ahead in the quest for peace. President Trump's pursuit of a rapid agreement contrasts with President Putin's deeply entrenched demands and President Zelensky's cautious yet resolute defense of Ukrainian sovereignty. The international community watches closely, aware that the pronouncements and actions of these three figures will significantly shape the trajectory of the conflict and the prospects for a lasting resolution. The path to peace is evidently narrow and fraught with obstacles, requiring immense diplomatic skill and a genuine willingness from all sides to make difficult compromises. As of mid-May 2025, Russia continues to control a significant portion of Ukrainian territory, estimated to be around 20%, according to Al Jazeera. This includes large swaths of eastern and southern Ukraine, regions that have been the scene of intense fighting since the conflict escalated. The front lines, while somewhat dynamic, have seen entrenched positions established by both sides, leading to a war of attrition in many areas. This territorial control forms a critical backdrop to any peace negotiations, as Russia's occupation of these lands is a primary point of contention and a major hurdle to resolving the conflict. During the anticipated peace talks, President Putin is expected to formally demand that Ukrainian forces withdraw from four key regions: Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia. Russia had previously declared these regions as annexed, a move widely condemned and unrecognized by the international community. This demand for Ukrainian retreat represents a maximalist position from Moscow and underscores the Kremlin's determination to solidify its territorial gains. Such a concession would be politically untenable for Kyiv, and is seen as a non-starter by Ukraine and its Western allies, highlighting the vast gulf between the two sides' negotiating positions. In direct response to these anticipated demands, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has unequivocally ruled out any withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the eastern and southern regions. He has consistently stated that Ukraine will fight to restore its territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders, including Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014. This firm stance from Kyiv underscores the deep commitment to national sovereignty and the immense sacrifices made by the Ukrainian people. The refusal to cede territory sets the stage for highly contentious discussions if and when comprehensive peace talks materialize, with little apparent common ground on this fundamental issue. The military stance of both nations reflects this territorial impasse. Russia continues to deploy significant military resources to hold its occupied territories and to probe Ukrainian defenses along the extensive front line. Ukraine, bolstered by Western aid, maintains a determined defensive posture, while also seeking opportunities to launch counteroffensives and reclaim lost ground. The strategic importance of the controlled territories, rich in resources and industry, and providing a land bridge to Crimea for Russia, means neither side is likely to easily relinquish its claims or military presence, suggesting a protracted struggle continues to define the conflict. Section 5. The battlefield today. Recent military operations and competing claims. Recent military operations as of May 19 to 20, 2025, indicate that the fighting remains intense across multiple sectors of the front. Russia's Ministry of Defense has made several claims of territorial gains, including the seizure of the village of Marine in the Sumy region and Novolenivka village in the Donetsk region. Ukraine has not yet officially commented on these specific claims, which is common as information from active combat zones is often difficult to verify immediately. Russian forces have also reportedly advanced in Kursk Oblast, near the town of Tetkino, and have made incremental gains near critical locations such as Chasiv Yar, Toretsk, and Novopavlivka in the Donetsk region. In addition to these offensive actions, Russia is reportedly expanding its military infrastructure along its borders with Finland and Estonia. This development, noted by the Institute for the Study of War, suggests a broader strategic positioning by Moscow, potentially aimed at exerting pressure on NATO's northeastern flank and signaling a long-term military buildup in the region. Such activities contribute to heightened tensions and concerns among Russia's Nordic and Baltic neighbors, who have been staunch supporters of Ukraine and have significantly bolstered their own defense capabilities since the war began. On the Ukrainian side, forces have also reported successful advances in several areas. According to ISW assessments, Ukrainian troops have made recent gains in Russia's Kursk Oblast, specifically on the southern outskirts of Tetkino, indicating cross-border operations. Further advances have been noted near Borova in the Kharkiv Oblast, around Toretsk in the Donetsk Oblast, and west of Serhiivka in the Luhansk Oblast. These claims suggest that Ukrainian forces are actively seeking to disrupt Russian logistics and reclaim territory, demonstrating their continued capacity to conduct offensive operations despite the pressures along the front. Ongoing Russian offensives persist in northern Sumy Oblast, the Kupiansk direction in Luhansk Oblast, the Seversk direction in Donetsk Oblast, and the Zaporizhia direction, though without confirmed advances in these specific recent assaults. Reports indicate that Russian forces are accumulating troops in Kursk Oblast, and are employing tactics involving small infantry groups, often preferring light vehicles, particularly in their operations in the Kharkiv Oblast. Overnight on May 18 to 19, Russian forces launched a massive barrage of 112 Shahed and decoy drones targeting various regions across Ukraine, with Ukrainian air defenses successfully downing 76, though 35 were reported as lost, highlighting the ongoing aerial threat. Section 6. Economic warfare, international sanctions, and their impact on Russia. The international community continues to exert economic pressure on Russia through a comprehensive regime of sanctions. European Union leaders are reportedly prepared to intensify these measures with a new package of sanctions expected to be formally adopted in Brussels on May 20, 2025. This decision swiftly followed President Trump's briefing to European allies on his recent phone call with President Putin. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz publicly confirmed the unity between Europe and the United States on maintaining a strong stance against Russian aggression, signaling continued transatlantic cooperation on the economic front despite differing views on further immediate escalations by the US. A key component of the anticipated new EU sanctions package involves lowering the price cap on Russian seaborne oil. The plan is to reduce the cap from the current $60 per barrel down to $50 per barrel. This measure aims to further curtail Russia's revenues from energy exports, which are a crucial source of funding for its war machine. The effectiveness of the oil price cap has been a subject of ongoing debate, with challenges in enforcement. But Western powers remain committed to using it as a tool to limit Moscow's financial capacity to sustain its military operations in Ukraine. President Zelensky has consistently emphasized the significant impact that US and international sanctions have had on Russia's ability to continue its full-scale invasion. He has advocated for even stronger and more comprehensive economic restrictions to cripple Russia's war economy. However, President Trump has recently stated that he would not impose further sanctions on Russia at this moment, suggesting that such actions might worsen the overall situation or negatively impact the nascent peace talks. This divergence highlights the complex balancing act leaders face between applying pressure and fostering an environment conducive to negotiation. Beyond broad sectoral sanctions, specific enforcement actions continue. For instance, Finland has announced plans to utilize approximately 90 million euros, around $101 million, derived from frozen Russian assets to purchase ammunition for Ukraine. This move represents a direct reallocation of Russian funds to support Ukrainian defense. Separately, Poland reported the seizure of 5 million metric tons of tires intended for Boeing aircraft that were bound for Russia, an action taken due to violations of existing international sanctions. These examples illustrate the ongoing efforts to enforce and expand the economic measures targeting Russia. Section 7. Bolstering defenses. Western military aid flows to Ukraine. Western nations remain committed to providing substantial military assistance to Ukraine, enabling its forces to continue resisting the Russian invasion and defend their territory. Australia has recently reaffirmed its support with a significant contribution. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese confirmed that Australia will provide Abrams main battle tanks to Ukraine. The first consignment of a total of 49 tanks is reportedly already en route, marking a notable enhancement of Ukraine's armored capabilities. These modern tanks are expected to bolster Ukrainian ground forces, offering improved firepower and protection in challenging battlefield conditions. Denmark has also announced a substantial new military aid package for Ukraine, demonstrating sustained Nordic support. The Danish government has committed 4.2 billion Danish kroner, approximately $632 million, for the period spanning 2025 to 2028. This long-term commitment includes a range of crucial military hardware. Specifically, the package will provide artillery systems which are vital for counter-battery fire and disrupting Russian offensive formations. It also includes much-needed ammunition and essential equipment for maintaining and operating fighter jets, contributing to Ukraine's efforts to strengthen its air defense and offensive air capabilities. This continuous flow of military aid from a broad coalition of countries is critical for Ukraine's defense. The assistance encompasses a wide array of equipment, from basic necessities like ammunition and personal protective gear, to advanced weaponry systems, including long-range artillery, air defense systems, and armored vehicles. The provision of such aid not only helps Ukraine to sustain its military operations, but also sends a strong message of international solidarity and resolve against aggression. Training programs provided by Western partners also play a crucial role in ensuring Ukrainian soldiers can effectively operate and maintain the sophisticated equipment they receive. The strategic impact of this Western military aid is undeniable. It has allowed Ukraine to effectively counter a numerically superior adversary and to inflict significant losses on Russian forces. While aid packages are often announced with fanfare, the logistical challenges of delivering and integrating this equipment into active combat units are immense. Nevertheless, the consistent support has been a lifeline for Ukraine, enabling it to protect its sovereignty and to continue its fight for freedom. The ongoing commitments from countries like Australia and Denmark signal that this support is likely to continue as long as Ukraine requires it to defend itself. Section 8, Global Echoes, International Reactions and Calls for Lasting Peace. International reactions to the latest developments, particularly the US-Russia talks, have been varied, reflecting diverse geopolitical interests and concerns. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius expressed a degree of skepticism regarding Russia's intentions. He accused President Putin of attempting to stall for time with the proposed negotiations, suggesting that Moscow is not genuinely ready to make meaningful concessions for peace. This sentiment is shared by several European leaders who remain wary of Russia's strategic objectives and its commitment to any negotiated settlement that respects Ukrainian sovereignty, urging continued vigilance and support for Kyiv. Germany and Denmark have jointly called on China to leverage its influence with Russia to push for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As a major global power with close ties to Moscow, Beijing is seen by some as holding potential sway over President Putin's decision-making. In response, China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Mao Ning, reiterated Beijing's official position. She expressed China's support for all efforts conducive to peace and encouraged continued dialogue between the warring parties. However, China has thus far refrained from condemning Russia's invasion and has maintained its economic ties with Moscow, leading to questions about the extent of its willingness to actively pressure Russia. Beyond governmental reactions, international organizations continue their work amidst the conflict. Amnesty International, for example, has vowed to persist in its investigations into alleged war crimes committed by Russian forces in Ukraine. This commitment comes despite the organization being declared an undesirable organization by Moscow, a move designed to hinder its human rights monitoring activities within Russia and Russian-controlled territories. Amnesty's stance underscores the ongoing efforts by civil society groups to document abuses and seek accountability, even in the face of significant political pressure and obstruction from state actors. The offer from Pope Leo XIV to host broader peace talks at the Vatican has garnered positive responses from both US and European leaders. This proposal adds another potential venue to the list suggested by President Zelensky, which includes Turkey and Switzerland. The willingness of the Vatican to facilitate dialogue is seen as a welcome diplomatic initiative, offering a neutral and respected platform for complex negotiations. The involvement of a moral authority like the Pope could potentially help in bridging divides, though the substantive issues separating Russia and Ukraine remain profoundly challenging, requiring more than just a venue to resolve. Section 9. Stay informed, your source for comprehensive war coverage. The situation in the Russia-Ukraine war is constantly evolving, with new developments occurring daily on diplomatic, military, and economic fronts. Understanding the nuances of these changes, from high-level negotiations between world leaders to the realities on the ground for soldiers and civilians, is crucial for a comprehensive grasp of the conflict and its far-reaching implications. The information landscape can be complex, often filled with competing narratives and claims that require careful sifting and verification. Therefore, accessing reliable and thoroughly researched news is more important than ever for anyone seeking to stay truly informed about this ongoing crisis. IDS News is committed to providing you with the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and comprehensive coverage of the Russia-Ukraine war. Our team works diligently to bring you factual reporting, drawing from a wide array of credible sources, including first-hand accounts, official statements, and expert assessments from organizations like the Institute for the Study of War and respected international news outlets. We strive to present a clear and balanced picture of events, helping you to understand not just what is happening but also why it matters, and what the potential consequences might be for the region and the world. We believe that an informed public is essential for navigating these challenging times. By understanding the complexities of the conflict, the positions of the key actors involved, and the impact on ordinary people, we can all contribute to more thoughtful discussions and potentially support efforts towards a just and lasting peace. Our coverage extends beyond the headlines, delving into the humanitarian crisis, the strategic military shifts, the economic pressures, and the global diplomatic responses that shape this conflict. We aim to provide context and perspective, enabling you to form your own informed opinions. To ensure you don't miss any critical updates or expert analysis on the Russia-Ukraine war and other significant global events, we encourage you to connect with IDS News. Please like our content, share our reports with your networks to help others stay informed, and subscribe to our channels for regular updates delivered directly to you. By doing so, you support our mission to deliver quality journalism and become part of a community dedicated to understanding the world around us. Stay informed with IDS News, your trusted partner for comprehensive coverage. Please like, share, and subscribe to IDS News for the latest updates on the Russia-Ukraine war and other important news stories. Your engagement helps us continue to provide comprehensive and reliable coverage, ensuring that you and your community stay informed about the critical issues that shape our world. Thank you for your support.